Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is our 74th annual meeting, but as you know, it's not our annual meeting. We would have preferred to have been with you in person. I enjoy meeting with you in person. I enjoy being with you in person. However, we all know what the circumstances are right now in this particular year. So as you know, every year we go through an annual report and we go through our annual meeting, and I'm going to attempt to try to do something like that in this particular medium. Our slides, you'll find those online, as well as you'll find our annual report online in the event that you want to go back and take a look at something that I went too fast or went too quick for. First, I'll talk about our who are we as Mohave Electric Cooperative. You know who we are. We do connect ourselves to 7 particular principles: voluntary and open membership, democratic member control, members' economic participation, that's that $5 that you put in when you become a member. Autonomy and independence, meaning that we work for our board and we work for the community, meaning we don't have to do exactly the same thing that's done in another particular community. Education, training, and information of our members as well as our employees. Cooperation amongst cooperatives. You'll find that the cooperatives in the state do, as well as nationally, do work together on a number of issues. And then, of course, concern for community, and that's something that we do a lot. About Mohave Electric, you all know this probably, but I'm going to go back over it, is that we were founded in 1946, and the why we were founded in 1946 is that the investor-owned utilities wouldn't supply us. There wasn't profit to be made. And as you know, we're not for profit, and we're not for profit utility, so we were able to be formed. We had 90 members back then, a far cry from where we're at today. There's a slide that'll show you how many people we have. We have about 81 employees. We're serving just under 34,000 members, just under 42,000 meters. We've got just under 1,600 miles of line, and we serve all throughout the service territory that you can take a look at on our particular slide, which is basically from bridge to bridge. Along our western service territory, which includes Bullhead City and Mohave Valley. And we also serve from Wickiup basically to the Grand Canyon, just east of Kingman. We also, as you'll be able to take a look at, you'll see this particular year, every year has been fairly busy for us, but because of what happened in the housing boom in the 2007, 8, and 9, we had a lot of drop off in numbers of services and requests. As you all know, business is closed, but we're really picking up. And you'll see on that particular slide that you go to, 157 new residential service requests. Our service changes, which is amazing for us, but it's typical for us, which is almost 96,000 service changes in a year. It's up from last year drastically. Utility locates just over 5,200. Job orders in construction, over 1,000 job orders in construction. The total service requests this year is over 100,000 service requests, and we do this with these 81 employees. We always go through and show the energy dollar. You will be able to find later on, you'll see our actual annual report and our financials, but our members have communicated with us that this energy dollar seems to resonate with them. It seems to show descriptively what it is that we do. As you'll see when you go to it, about almost 75 cents, but 74% of our dollars go to purchase power, meaning the product that we buy in order to actually sell to you occupies almost 75% of our total costs. The rest of it is in things like depreciation expense, organizational, that type of thing, but really controllable expenses. Although a lot of it is not controllable expenses like taxes, but they do fall into controllable expense category. You'll see and find, and I'll point this out later, is that we're among the lowest as far as cost per member in the United States. And that's despite the fact that we have costs that a lot of other states and co-ops don't have, which is the cost and the oversight of the Arizona Corporation Commission, which is an incredibly costly thing. And we've maintained the lowest cost in the state of Arizona since 1999. Capital credits, you all probably are aware of capital credits, but if you're new, you're not, and you're not aware of this particular business model that we have as being a not-for-profit cooperative, and that is when we do, at the end of the year, have margins, and they're not profits, but they are margins, we allocate those margins back to you. So after our costs are all done, we allocate those margins back to you, and over time, sometimes depending upon the economics the community is feeling, but over time we will retire those capital credits. And we retired a little over $1.3 million in 2019. And you'll see that either as a check, or many will see it as a credit against their bill if it's less than $10. And that really represents all of 2019. All of our margins that we had this year have gone all totally back to our members, recognizing in 2020 what's happening from the standpoint of the economic distress from COVID. We also retired all of 1988's margins. All right, the condensed balance sheet. I'm not going to go through this a lot. You have access to our annual report, which is much more indicative. But if you want to see, this is a condensed balance report. It shows basically our assets are just over $184 million, as well as our equities and liabilities, just over $184 million. I'm not going to go through a lot, except the total plant cost is we have $140 million in plant, which is significant, but it's not an outrageous number for a $75 million a year company. Operating revenues I touched upon a little bit, but this is more numbers form and not in the energy dollar. But again, you'll see that out of our $74 million, just about $55 million of that is our operating expenses. And again, when we talk about our operating expenses having to do with power cost, our operating expenses of $12 million represents about 18%. And then you can see on there what depreciation, interest on long-term debt, other expenses actually pull away from that. And you'll see that our margins this year, which is just under $400,000, is about 0.5% are the margins. So we're able to operate close enough to zero, even though we have a $74 million project, close enough to zero. But those additional dollars at just under $400,000, they go back to you as margins. All right, and this one we've been showing for this particular slide, which hopefully you can turn to, and it talks about our energy cost. It really talks about when we were formed in 1946. We actually started making deliveries in 1947. We have the first bill that we ever put out in 1947, and that bill shows the dollars per kilowatt hour that was billed in 1947. And as you'll see in this particular slide, that 300 kilowatt hours was $19.55. That was the cost of power, the cost of energy at that particular time. And if you look at your bill today, or if you could calculate your bill today, in 2019, including our purchase power adjuster, which right now is just a 0.75 cent negative, but if you actually include that, we're at $24.51. So we're talking about 74 years of operation, and yet we're not even 50% more than what we were in 1947. I don't know that you could find any place else that has that kind of limited growth on costs and expenses. When we talk about being committed to the community, and one of the points that we make, or one of the things that we have a commitment to, is we have a commitment to our River Fund. The River Fund is a local organization. It serves from bridge to bridge. It's Laughlin, Needles, and of course our side, the Bullhead City, Mohave Valley side. And we give to that particular community to help folks in need. And those are primarily we give to help folks that are needing help with deposits, or they're needing help with their electric bills or utility bills in general. If you look on that particular slide, there's a lot of money. The From the Heart money comes from our members. Operation Roundup comes from our members, in which most of our employees are members. The co-bank sharing of success, that's something we partner with one of our lenders. We put money in, and then they put money in, and they match that. The energy assistance is a payment annually that the board authorizes and puts and sends to the River Fund. And then we have MEC donations directly, so just about $6,000. We're talking about $82,000 to the River Fund to help people in need, and we do that pretty much annually. Hopefully you're aware of our fiber to the home, our broadband project that we've been working diligently on. You may be wondering why it takes so long. It takes a long time. You got to imagine there is no system, and we are building our own system from scratch. And not only that, but we are actually having to convince folks at the Arizona Corporation Commission that we should be in this business. That was a lengthy process. We also had to get specific legislation run in the COVID year, so we could actually do this project. And then we had to seek out and go out and borrow and find a lender that would borrow the capital. We're talking about over $100 million to do get this particular project. This broadband it is not necessarily the same as the electrical system that we built in 1946 and 1947, but it's the same kind of genesis. Our members are asking us to do it. Members are asking us in mass to actually have this done. They're doing it because of many of the same reasons: quality of service, cost, just the fact that we need a higher quality and speed of service here. And it's apparent that the for-profit entities aren't interested in investing in the infrastructure to do that. And when we're doing this, we're not just investing in today. The infrastructure we're investing in is for the long-term future and the viability of education, viability of hospitalization and people care, as well as our businesses and the communities themselves. You can't work from home or do Zooming at home if you don't have a really stout broadband system. You'll go and you'll see that we'll kind of go through this in these slides. I'm not going to read all the particular slides, but as you'll go through, you will see that we're making investments in our system. The fact that we're off trying to get something done from a broadband perspective, and that we're creating a for-profit entity in order to handle that, doesn't mean that we've abandoned what we're doing from an electrical standpoint. In fact, most of our employees, most of our effort is still on our electrical system. And we're making system improvements in communication as well as substation improvements. We've done improvements on the east end. A lot of investment we're making into underground cable. Our underground cable system in some areas was not put in with the conduit, and we're seeing some failures, as you're seeing failures, so we're trying to actually remedy that by making an investment in that particular system. Davis Dam substation, we're working with our transmission providers to provide additional capacity out of the dam, and that'll help both folks in our western service territory, but Davis Dam also feeds all our primary source all the way to our eastern service territory. We've also been involved in the Hilltop project near Kingman, which should help the reliability as well as the speed of being able to restore outages out of Hilltop. And Hilltop is close to Kingman, which then is closer to our Wallapai substations. We've also worked to try to get an emergency backup with the Arizona Public Service at Baghdad, to the extent that we lose service from our primary transmission providers out of Parker. And it's Parker Dam that actually feeds our eastern service territory from Wiki up all the way up, or quite a ways up. That all comes from Parker, and Baghdad would be an alternate source. We finally got that put in service, and it was a long time coming, working with our sister utilities. Controllable cost, I talked about that a little bit earlier, and I'll speak to that. And there's a slide that talks about all of those things. It's all of our expenses: transmission expenses, our operations, customer service, sales and marketing, admin in general. But there are also parts of that like taxes, and taxes are really not what I would consider to be controllable. They seem to be rising all the time for all of us, and I empathize with you when they are. We can't control that, but those costs are pretty high for us. I think our property taxes alone were over $1.5 million this year. So if you look at that from the standpoint of our controllable costs, you look at that from the standpoint of our total costs of just short of $75 million, is pretty significant property tax. What we do is we do benchmark ourselves constantly in the industry, and what we benchmark ourselves is with the other co-ops, with the other not-for-profit entities. It's harder to benchmark yourself with a for-profit entity because of the fact that there's a profit motive and there are profit in most of the activities. So you'll see us go back to a 2017 key ratio trend analysis. It's done nationally. That particular year, 814 co-ops participated. And from the standpoint of controllable cost per customer, controllable cost per member, you want that number to be low, and you want to be low on that particular list. Low means the dollars, the amount of cost there are per consumer. You want that to be fairly low. That means we're operating efficiently. If you take a look at that slide, you'll see that we're in the lowest 2% of the country. We were 803rd out of 814, almost to the bottom. And I say that in spite of the fact that we have both the privilege and the cost of being regulated by the Arizona Corporation Commission, which actually does nothing but add to your costs. You'll see in the key trends ratio also, the next page, you'll see that we compare ourselves with all of the non-for-profits and the co-ops that are in Arizona. And out of those 11 that participated, and this has been true since 1999, and all the 11 that participated were the lowest cost. We also have a co-op connection card, and hopefully you all participate in this co-op connection program. It's this card right here, and hopefully you participate in that. There is an app, which I'm not really app friendly, but I just got handed this app, and there's an app. Go on and get this particular app. This will very much help you find out locally as well as nationally what you may be able to provide. What is the Co-op Connection Program? It's a program in which we have negotiated better costs for you. There isn't a cost participation. We don't buy down the cost. None of your money is going to buy down this cost. What we do is we negotiate specific pricing. And since we got into this program in 2011, our members, and from the standpoint of just prescription drugs alone, and it's only because that's the only thing we really can get information back, reliable information back on savings. We're sitting there just between $2.3 and $2.5 million in these number of years. It's a phenomenal program, and you can use it for just about anything. I had a picture at one point showing the Co-op Connection card that showed up on our media center, and that was the mayor's Co-op Connection card when I squeezed a breakfast out of him at one particular point. But on the Co-op Connection card, I just bought some furniture, and I got it's not spelled right, Mohave Electric, Mohave Co-op, but I got my Mohave Co-op discount at the same time. So take a look at it. There's a lot to be said for that particular program. We did reach our $1 million milestone in 2014, and we've over $2.3 million today. We're on our way to 2.5. It won't be that long. There's a cashback mall, and you can read all about that, about all the participating folks. The app will help you find that, as well as our website will help you find that. It'll help you find who you actually can get service from. We do a Co-op Connection Business Expo. It's been pretty successful. We've done 4 years worth, which is really trying to connect the businesses in our service territory who are offering, local businesses who are offering discounts, that you can actually stand right in front of them and talk to them about the services that they provide and the discounts they provide. When we talk about we're still in the electric business, and we're heavy in the electric business, one of our key attention points have been over the last number of years is outages and reporting outages and being able to manage outages. And hopefully you all have got it to the point where you have the ability to text 55050 whenever there's an outage, and if your phone is connected in our system to your residence, a lot of automatic things will happen and a lot of positive things will happen. So please get to that 55050 on your cell phone and make sure that your phone number is connected on your customer account, and you can contact us to do that. Member services, we actually have combined, member services, credit, and billing all together, and they are now at Hancock all at one organization. We've updated our communications. We're a lot more into the social media, and hopefully none of you ask me about that social media because I don't know anything about it, don't know how it works, but we do have a new person that does know how it works, and you probably can get a hold of Bo or Tina, and they'll be able to help you figure it out. But we're much more involved in social media, trying to get our information out to you. A big program of ours has been our pay as you go, but actually from my standpoint, I've always called that prepaid metering. and it's really has grown in popularity. It's over 10% of our residential members are doing pay-as-you-go or prepaid metering. It's phenomenal on its growth, and it's coming up on 10% of our total meters pretty soon. The environmental and whether or not we are green or not green, or whether or not we're caring or putting attention into being green. One has to always recognize that we have investments in power plants. We have investments. Then those investments have a long-term mortgage to them, as you do with your house. And just because your house is not energy efficient, you don't necessarily just move out of your house. You try to make incremental improvements. I don't think that your lender would be happy if you just walked away from your house because there was a more energy efficient house next door. So what we have done instead is we've been paying a lot of attention to our profiles of our units and what they're producing. There is a graph that you'll see if you go through the slides themselves that show all the way back to 2014, 2016, and 2018. You'll see the drastic difference that we've been able to make in our utilization of coal production, natural gas production, and the amount of solar energy. In fact, in 2019, our renewable energy profile grew by 7% alone in 2019, and bringing our renewable amount to about 15%, which is we're well ahead of most of the other utilities, as well as we're well ahead of our goals. You also see on the screen, and I think it's great that you take a look at it because it's not going to have the effect for me just to read to them, but I will ask you to go to the slides and go to page 21, 22, and 23, and what you'll see is our mercury, our SO2, and our NOx emissions in our plants, in our major plants. And what ST2 is steam turbine 2, ST3 is steam turbine 3. You'll see that at the top, and you'll see the graphs of the actual outputs of those particular units as they have to do with those particular chemicals or those particular situations. You'll see in some cases we're nearly at zero from one of the steam turbine units from a standpoint of mercury. That's been investments in technology, and I know that folks will say there's no such thing as clean coal, but take a look at those graphs. You'll see how clean we are getting that particular coal. And SO2 reductions, it's a similar thing, and we have been making, we've been looking at the actual tons emitted, and we've been making changes and making investments at our plants, at all cost competitive or cost effective investments, not just throwing money at it, but putting money in where it actually can be cost effective as well as make huge reductions. And you'll see the same thing on our SO2 reductions as you've seen in the other graphs as far as mercury. And then our NOx is the same thing. We are committed to making improvements. We'll continue to make improvements as technology changes and exists. And again, there's no such thing as clean coal. I get that, but take a look. You might convince yourself that there are efforts underway to make coal cleaner. But as you'll see in the previous slides, our reliance on coal as a primary fuel source for us to you has gone down significantly from somewhere around 90% to somewhere in the 30%. So we've made huge impacts. Renewable energy programs for members, you probably are aware. If you're not, you're finding this out. We do give people rebates for putting on solar on your homes. We whatever one may say, but we do endorse that. We are committed to that, and we put money to it. It's not just talk. We put in 153 or gave a rebate to 153 residential users last year that put on solar, and 3 commercial, which represents just short of 59,000 in residential and just over 3,000 in commercial as far as investments. You go on there, you'll see the sites that we're doing. Most of our investments that we make total investments on, and Mohave Electric puts money on totally, is schools and fire stations and city buildings, nonprofits. Those are dollars that we contribute to actually put solar on. What we're trying to do is lower the operating costs, because we know those operating costs of schools as well as a city. If we can lower those operating costs, it lowers the pressure on taxes, and so that affects everybody. And that's really our focus. And again, just short of 50% of our total kilowatt hours sold this year will be coming from renewable resources. We have energy efficient programs, efficiency programs, and go down and talk to Bill and go down to talk to Steve at Hancock. They've got the repertoire of what it is that you might be able to do to your homes. But we have heat pump rebates, we have energy saving light bulb programs, not just the light bulbs, but commercial programs that if you change your commercial lighting systems to LED will help you by way of giving you dollars. And last year, or this 2019, $46,000 we gave in just heat pump rebates. We also have Operation Cool Shade, and you probably are aware of Operation Cool Shade, but we also discount, buy trees, discount the trees. So we're basically helping you get a discount on the trees, so you can actually buy these trees, grow them, and we use folks who are experts who can tell us these are the right trees for our environment, and plant them in the right place. Don't plant them under our lines, because that's not okay, even though we help buy your tree, because that might have to be cut down. But there are places to put them, and if you can keep the sun off your house, the sun off your house means savings. That's energy efficiency for you. Our commercial lighting program that was new this particular year, it's it's already been utilized, and it's a rebate increase to $5,000. So if you're a commercial entity and you can qualify, don't call me, go down and talk to Bill, go down to talk to Steve. We also have a weatherization program. This one's really important. It's called our low income weatherization program. It's really made for folks that are low income, own their homes. They're on probably fixed income. They're having trouble making ends meet. We'll partner with either WACOG, Western Area Council of Governments, or we'll partner with Bullhead City, whichever is appropriate, and we'll try to leverage funds. We'll put in funds, they'll put in funds, and we'll try to get your house more weatherized so that your dollar can go further, because you're spending less on electric energy. So contact us to do that. I think that totally the MEC program, we contributed $40,000 this year, but it actually was a total of $250,000 of impact. So $250,000 impact to our members' homes to try to make them more energy efficient. We leveraged our $40,000 with other people's money, or they may say the same thing. Either way, but to you, the member, you have an opportunity to make your house more energy efficient, to make your fixed income dollars go further. We also have an energy review, and that energy review is you can come to us and we'll go out, and Steve or Bill will go out to your home and try to recommend things to you that you can do to try to help reduce your energy footprint. We're big on saving energy. There are folks that have a perception that we're only on the supply side. We have lots of demand side programs, as I talked about, as far as Cool Shade, as far as heat pump rebate, as far as lighting rebates, as far as the weatherization program. Those are all supply side scenarios. The cheapest and the most economical kilowatt hour is the one you didn't use and the one that I didn't have to generate. And then of course there's community, and I'm most proud of this one always. And that is because it's not just because we're committed to the community, and you'll see on our listing, it's a full page of what we invested in the community on all our community sponsored events. But more importantly than that, and this is something I couldn't be prouder of, and I wish I could say I could take credit for it, but I can't. Is the employees themselves. They're members as well. This co-op is important to them. The community they live in is important to them, and you'll see on there what our employees contribute to the community. You'll see that vast page of places that our employees at their own time and on their own dime, and you'll see that even coming up in the Cool Shade. Those folks, those of us, including myself, that show up to help, we're not getting paid for that. That's all volunteering, and I appreciate that. It's incredible. I think it really does separate us from an investor-owned utility, because we're out there in this community. We're out there working for this community, and we're doing it on our own time because we believe in this community. And I think that's it, and appreciate it. Thank you for joining me, and I apologize that it's this way. I prefer it not to be this way. I prefer to meet you all, and if you see me in the Safeway, and I do shop at Safeway, and folks pin me in Safeway. If you see me in Safeway, you see me in the gym, see me in the community, don't be afraid to come up and ask. I enjoy meeting with folks, and I can meet with you there. but we can't meet with you at our annual meeting. Hopefully you all know why. It's all COVID, and we really haven't been able to arrange for facilities, and we don't want to put you at risk or employees at risk by trying to get a bunch of people together. Next year is our 75th. We hope to have a much more robust ceremony, a much more robust time. Let's all cross our fingers that COVID allows us to do it next year, but we'll be celebrating our 75th, and that annual meeting will be better than the previous annual meetings. And I appreciate it, and hopefully you show up. Thank you.